money on hand. Two was, interest rates anyways had crashed, so there was always like, how do I make more money from my whatever savings. Three was the most important aspect. Was a lot of greed out there, right? As in, easy money. At least this whole theory that you can somehow make money easily, whatever savings. Three was, I think, the most important aspect. Was a lot of greed out there, right? As in, easy money. At least this whole theory that you can somehow make money easily is really what attracts most people to any asset class. And cyclically, every asset sees a bull market, a bear market, right? I mean, even real estate or gold or whatever, right? So yeah, this was the time for stocks, so which is, so there was, money. The first bunch of guys who came, opened money, opened accounts and invested in between March to June, July of 2020, saw money so quickly that, they went around saying, what, dude, it's easy to make money in the markets. And I think that just really triggered the virality of sorts. And no, we've been right place, right time, bunch of times in this journey. But I think the biggest, the most important time to have been at the right place, right time was the last 1-2 years. Right products, right initiatives, platforms ready to scale, and all of that. So yeah, so there was a lot of luck on our side. I mean, of course, luck, when I say luck, I mean, there was a lot of work that went through the years, but just being ready at the right time is really what luck is about, right? And so yeah, I think it was like a potent combination. But from last December, Jan was really when, markets peaked, right? As in terms of momentum, in terms of returns, in terms of activity, not just in India, across the world. And while India has, outperformed most markets, I mean, we are just 4-5% below, all-time highs. Whereas, like you pick up the US, we are like 40-50% below. So we have outperformed. So we're still okay. But in terms of the activity, it's dropped 30-40%. In terms of new user acquisition, I was just reading an article which said, I personally feel we almost hit a plateau in terms of the potential target audience out there. People with money who can invest in the markets who don't already have an account. I'm like, if the last 2 years didn't get them in, what will get them in? I mean, like, so it's unlikely that you suddenly have a large audience out there who didn't invest in the last 2 years who will suddenly decide to invest. And if they decide to invest, what is that event that will get them to invest? So in terms of my view, I think we're kind of hitting plateau in terms of people who have the money who can invest who haven't already invested. So yeah, so I think the next 1, 2, 3 years will probably be harder on the industry, and there are a lot of regulatory changes as well. A lot of changes made in the last 2, 3 years have not impacted the business because the business has grown so much. But now that you have all these regulatory actions plus the business slowing down, I think it's going to have a compounding kind of an effect on the business. So yeah, so I mean, I'm generally like what they call cheerful pessimist. But yeah, but I remember back in October when he spoke, also I was saying a lot of pessimistic things. So I was proved wrong in a lot of these things. But I think it helps to be better prepared if you're generally thinking about the worst case scenarios of sorts.
Uh, Nitin, every time we've met one-on-one, while I mean, for most people, this conversation should look like a very positive conversation, and both of us are really pessimist and mostly deeply existential in many things that we do. And I'm going to talk about the dark side of the 2,000 crores profit for a bit. Before we go to the dark side, let's talk about the bright side of it. Can you give us some numbers, like how many customers, most importantly, how many team members, how many engineers slash product people? Just curious, just throw out some numbers.
Yeah. So I think for us the business, we've increased the scale. So when I said this, so in 2020 we were sorry 2019 actually, we were at 1 million customers, and we had 1,100 people on the team. We are 11 million customers with 1,100 people on the team. So we haven't added, like no one. And uh, thanks. So the other thing, no, what I feel really proud about more than the profits, right? As in, because that can come and go, is really the trust we built out there. Because today these 11 million customers together hold almost 2 lakh crores plus securities with us. I don't think there's any platform in this country who's been able to build trust in such quick time. Of course, there's an ICICI, HDFC, but they've taken like 30, 40 years to be able to build that. So over the last 12 years, we've been, the fact that people trust us with so much of securities is really what I think is the biggest achievement of the business. I mean, if you build that much trust, money will happen. I mean, if not this year, we would have made money some other year, right? So the fact that we've been able to build the trust is really what I get excited about. About engineers, uh, we are a 35-member tech team. So, Kailash, we hired 2 people last year, and he said we hired too many. So, I when we started the business, I also came from the school of thought that throwing people at problems solves problems. Um, but once Kailash joined in 2013 and just hanging around him, his philosophies, I mean, he's like my spiritual business guru of sorts, So uh, his philosophy slowly kept rubbing on me, and then I kind of realized over time that it actually complicate problems. They don't really simplify, and so yeah, so we've been very particular about hiring. I think COVID in that way was a blessing because when the business, when the lockdown happened, suddenly the business was scaling. I think we were one of the few businesses which was scaling when lockdown happened, the first lockdown, and there was no way to go quickly hire people. So the first thing I did was, I was saying, no, let's figure out what job is inefficient, etc. And so we had like a 500-member inbound sales team, right? Which is, people, they drop off during onboarding. We call them up and say, dude, why you drop off? You want to open an account, etc. So, we took a 50-member team of inbound sales and we said, let's move them to support. And we saw it made no difference, right? I was like, damn, how is that possible, right? And then the business kept going. So one day, I sent an email to everyone, we're stopping inbound sales. And it made no difference to our sales. It made no difference to our conversions. It made no difference to our leads. I was always bothered about this inbound sales team, like giving targets and, like giving, in terms of conversions and, like motivating talks. And I'm like, I don't even know what I was doing for 10 years. So the thing was, what happened for the business was in 2016, until 2016, onboarding was physical, right? People had to send a physical account opening form. So unless you followed up with the customer a bunch of times, no one would do it, right? But then onboarding became online in 2016. And post that, I think at some point of time, I should have realized that if someone doesn't want to open an account, he'll probably not open an account just because you're calling him, right? As in, and we don't, we have never induced greed and stuff like that to open an account. So there's never been a freebie, and I've never, there's never been like, I've never given a sales guy any upsell and or anything. We never sold anything to a customer till date. So, so yeah, so I mean, like that was like a big realization. Now what happened was all of these 500 people moved to support. The support ratings went up significantly. Because one of the hits we had taken as a business from before was really of support, and now that we had like suddenly like a 700 800 member support team, just the support, the interaction times to everything else, just improved significantly, which I think also kind of fueled into more business, because people then start saying, oh, dude, I call your call center in like under a minute, I'm talking to someone. I send a ticket in like, less than half an hour, like someone's responded to it, So, and yeah, and we went internally and tried to find every single problem that can be automated. And we were forced to do it because of COVID. If not for COVID, maybe, we would try to, do the inefficient thing, which is to go hire people and, try to solve for that problem. Yeah, so now that we've done that, now every time we're hiring, like, every single hire, I'm like, dude, what do we really need this person, So, uh, and and I think, like a smaller team is much easier to manage as well. And I think the business is easier with smaller teams. Like I don't know how I'll be able to, if we were a 10,000 member team, I don't know how I'll manage 10,000 people, So I think I have found a comfort zone in this, like around 1,000 people on the team. So, because I almost know everyone's names now, So, if which is a cool thing, to be as a person can actually talk to, like, every person in your team by their name, So.
Um, just to double click, these are how many unique different businesses that are covered between these 1,100 people?
See
You also have a little bit of that NBFC piece, like
Right.
is all of that included in that?
So, I mean, okay. So Coin, which is a direct mutual fund platform, is run by one tech guy.